Right, it's Sunday and we're going to take a look at something different on the channel today. Remember to subscribe to the channel, folks, if you enjoy our content, and give our videos a like as well. Right, former Celtic youth player Sam Wardrop has made a bit of a splash on TikTok recently. Sam posts entertaining videos featuring training regimes, pre-match diets and injuries, and he's racked up millions of views since starting the account. He's taken a break from that today to join me on the channel. Sam, how are you? Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Amish. I'm looking forward to having a chat and discussing some of the kind of reasons behind the TikToks and what it's all about.
It's a bit unusual, if you don't mind me saying so. I mean, I know a lot of folk are on TikTok nowadays. I don't know of many footballers that are on TikTok, so just tell us a wee bit about it.
So to be honest with you, I kind of started posting on Instagram and stuff, training ideas, and believe it or not, it was my sister who is obviously like a lot younger, so you know what technology is like. It evolves so quickly, and she was like, "You need to go on TikTok. I think people would like some of the stuff you post." So I put one up around Christmas 2020, and it kind of got a bit of traction. And since then, I've been posting. The majority of the stuff is educational. I've tried some funny stuff, and I'm not that kind of TikTok. I'm not that kind of guy. So I'm sticking to what works. And to be honest with you, I like kind of sharing things I've learned over the years from football, whether it be training, nutrition, just anything that kind of enhances your lifestyle.
So basically, for anyone who hasn't come across Sam's TikToks, you talk viewers through maybe like a day or an activity in your life, and you'll narrate over it. You do add, I think you do yourself a disservice here. You do add the odd wee kind of comedic quip in there, and it works quite well. But that's basically what you do. You talk people through your day, and do people quite like that kind of behind the scenes thing?
Yeah, I think so. So you're spot on. Essentially, it's like a day in the life almost, or a day in the morning, and it's me just running through the way I would do a gym session, or the way I would eat, or what I would eat. And I think a lot of people really enjoy, a lot of young players, male and female, but also some older folk as well who are on TikTok. They really like the insight. It might be because they're doing those things already, so it kind of reinforces that they're doing the right thing. But they can also pick up ideas as well. So yeah, I just kind of narrate, or I'll film parts of whatever I'm doing, whether it be making a meal or a morning or a training session, and I'll narrate over it, just giving a bit more kind of the reasons why sort of thing. And it's gone down really well, and I do enjoy making them. I find it quite fun, and the response has been good. And I post in a bit more in-depth stuff on the likes of Instagram, that sort of thing, because you've only got a limited time. You've only got 60 seconds on TikTok.
I wouldn't know that at all. See,
there we go.
I'm genuinely, I'm not on TikTok at all. The funny story is that I'm not on TikTok, but I am on TikTok, but it's just not my own choice. Basically what happens is that any time in this channel I come out with any horrendous prediction, which is quite often if we're honest, Rangers fans clip up my videos and stick them on TikTok. So if you go on any kind of Rangers leaning TikTok channel, you'll see videos of me making daft claims about Shane Duffy and how Celtic are going to win.
Famous as well then.
Basically I'm like, that's the way I look at it. I'm TikTok. We're both TikTok famous here. One of the kind of recent things that I saw on your TikTok was you had quite a bad injury. You can actually still kind of see the remnants of that.
Yeah.
Was it a broken eye?
Fractured eye socket, and I had surgery, orbital repair. Basically, I was playing Partick Thistle 2 weeks ago, and Brian Graham jumped up, elbowed me right in the eye socket, and it was a bad one. So
he's quite famous for that, isn't he? He's quite famous for the old.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't aware of it until 42 minutes in, and he gave me an elbow right to the eye. But since then, I have heard he's notorious for flying elbows. So I'm yet to thank him, and he's yet to ask me how I'm doing. But I got the surgery, and basically, I think it's like a 6-week recovery. So it's to repair the fracture. A bit of the contents of the eye falls into the sinus, which is pretty disgusting. So they have to kind of sort that out. And I had a bit of double vision as well, so they're basically repairing that. And after hopefully 6 weeks, should be able to go back into contact football and training, that sort of thing. But injuries are just they're part and parcel in football, and it's just your luck. But to be honest, that one probably could have been avoided if you were going up and challenging properly. but it's just something you deal with as a footballer, and you don't know the minute that you can get something. I've been posting a bit of the kind of journey on kind of videos as well, like showing people, because there's millions of people that have got injuries from football, or just not even football, just wee niggles and stuff, and it's good for them to see that if you do have an injury, whether it be lower body or upper body, it doesn't mean you have to stop everything. There's still things you can do, whether it be look after your nutrition or your sleep, or maybe some different exercises, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you've got over 35,000 followers, which is a lot of people. It's more than 3.5 times the amount that Dumbarton FC have on Twitter. So you're 3.5 times bigger than the club who pays your wages. Yeah, so we're getting a bit of traction, slowly but surely. And I'll just keep posting until no one gets anything from them anymore. But I do enjoy them, so, and they do take a bit of time actually. Yeah. We were chatting before you came on, and you've also got a podcast as well. I think you've recently started. You mentioned the Instagram videos. You're a fitness trainer as well. Is it important to have all these things going at the one time, as well as being a footballer, especially when you're a part-time player? Yeah, so I've recently transitioned into being a part-time footballer. So since the age of 15, 16 at Celtic is when I first went full-time. And up until the age of 22, I've been full-time, so that's been your job, that's been your focus, Monday to Friday, game on a Saturday, and you kind of get, it's almost like a bubble, you're kind of in this bubble of full-time football, and you're kind of quite sheltered, and it was only until recently in the last year where I've gone part-time, and I had the awareness, realisation that you can't just play part-time football, you need to do something else. So what did I want to do? Well, I'm passionate and I really love looking after myself. And I'm through my years of being full-time, I kind of fully committed myself to understanding nutrition, the gym, mobility, injury prevent. Like, I committed to everything because I do like to kind of know the reasons why I'm doing everything. So when I was at Celtic, like, so the nutritionist there, the psychologists, sports scientists, football coaches, chefs, like, I would always be trying to just ask them questions and just kind of get basically as kind of expert as I could in the field. And what I've realised in the last year is that I've got a wealth of knowledge from my time and my experiences. And I now realise as well that I do like sharing it, and I do like coaching people. So whether it be as a fitness trainer, whether it be through posting videos, I get a lot from it. And I think it works well to still be playing football as a professional footballer whilst coaching, because people young players, when it comes to football stuff anyway, who are aspiring to be a footballer, they probably feel as though they're getting a direct insight and kind of coached off what a pro does and what a pro's like. Yeah, no, it's really interesting stuff, and it's great to hear that you did so much, especially in your early days at Celtic. Just going to your days at Celtic, a lot of people watching this, with it being a Celtic channel, will know your name. Maybe don't know a great deal about you, but they may remember that you're a former youth team captain. You captained the side to the Scottish Youth Cup in 2017. You even scored in that game against Rangers as well. Why do you think it didn't quite work out for you at Celtic? Was it a lack of opportunities in the first team? Was it something else? Were you too busy making TikToks? No, well, funnily enough, you say it didn't work out for you at Celtic, but to me, like, what my experience from being at Celtic worked completely in my favour. I gained so much from it. I don't see it as like a failure or I never made it. Obviously, being able to play in the first team would have been unbelievable. But there's nothing I regret because as a player, I think as a footballer, as a young player in particular, if you're doing yourself justice, so if you're doing everything you can to put yourself in a position to play football, it means looking after yourself at training, looking after yourself away from football. It means you're doing yourself justice, and that's why I don't really have any regrets or see it as any missed opportunities, because I did everything I could. You know what I mean? So when I eventually left, I was like, well, you know what? I've done everything I could, and to be honest with you, if you're a young player at a club like Celtic, you gain so much. You travel the world, you get coached off the best coaches in Europe and probably the globe, to be honest with you. You get looked after really, really well. So I see it as a huge success, an amazing learning experience. And for me,
the reason why I probably didn't play in the first team is, one, it's sometimes down to the manager. The manager that comes in might like you. Two, a bit of luck and timing, whether it be injuries for yourself or injuries from a player who plays in the position that you play in the first team. So there's a lot of factors, and probably the third one, maybe I wasn't quite good enough to play in the first team. So there is a number of factors, but I don't see my time at Celtic as being like a failure. I see it as a kind of unbelievable positive experience that put me in a really good position in football and in life generally.
It's a good way to look at it. You know, you hear a lot of people, probably the mistake I just made there, about just thinking that the be-all and end-all's playing for the club you start with and wanting to make it for Celtic, but it's refreshing to hear you chatting like that. Just kind of going back to Celtic and just talking generally, it's something we chat about a lot in this channel, about the lack of players coming from the academy and making it into the first team. I think Mikey Johnson was probably the last one, and even he's kind of flirting in or about the first team. Do you think there's enough opportunities at clubs like Celtic, and Celtic specifically, to get youth players through, or did you always feel it was kind of a struggle? The club were maybe going out and signing a player rather than giving a youth player a chance?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and I think no matter what club you go to, especially when you move up the ladder, when you get to, you know, top sides like Celtic and then down south as well, all your top sides, it's harder because the standard's really high. And to be honest with you, every player who's at Celtic, every youth player who's at Celtic will know that if he's good enough and he performs well, he will get a chance. It's not if you're a good enough player, you'll play. It's not like there's no opportunities there. There are opportunities there. And if you're good enough, if the manager trusts you from watching you play in youth games, from training with the first team, from maybe playing some friendlies in pre-season, you will get an opportunity. I mean, like I know Mikey was probably the last one, but Stephen Welsh has been playing as well.
Yeah.
So it's completely a trust thing, but also if you're good enough, you will play. So there are opportunities, but it's just hard as you move up the ladder. Club like Celtic, there's always going to be signings coming in, because if signings aren't made, the standard drops generally. You always have to keep things moving, and as a youngster, you just have to be honest with yourself as well and ask yourself, am I actually doing enough, rather than going away and moaning, saying, I'm not getting a chance. Because if you really break it down, and if you said to the person, do you think you're doing enough to actually play in that first team? A lot of the time the answer would probably be no. But the players who have played have done enough, like the likes of Mikey and Stephen Welsh.
Just finally, I mean, you're at Dumbarton at the moment. You were, pretty much an ever-present for them this season until your injury in April. Where's the level you think you can get to? I know it's a question you're probably asked, 5-6 times every single day, but where do you think you can play your football? You're still only 23. You've got a lot of football ahead of you. Yeah,
I mean, to be honest with you, when I was leaving Celtic, I remember having a conversation with Brendan Rodgers and just chatting to him, because when you're a youngster, I'd played a bit. I'd been on loan at Dumbarton just in my final season, I think it was, if I can remember correctly. And coming to the end of your contract, you're not going to get another one. And I just wanted to have a chat to him, who's someone who's obviously, held in high regard, and she just asked, what kind of level do you see me playing at? And at the same time as well, yourself what kind of level you could probably play at. And I do think I could comfortably play in the Premiership in Scotland. Maybe not at a Celtic, but again, you don't really ever know until you've maybe spent a couple of seasons in there. So when I did leave Celtic, I went to Dundee United, who were in the Championship, top of the Championship, and in my head, I was going to use that as a stepping stone to kind of progress and continue to move up the ladder. But again, the classic old story, I did have a bad injury there as well. I did my ACL, which kind of kept me out for a year. So going back to what I was saying earlier, there's so many factors that can play a role in whether or not or where you play and when you play. Managers, injuries, a bit of luck. There's numerous factors, but in my head, I still have no doubt that I could comfortably play in the Scottish Premiership. And to be honest with you, it's just about getting a run of games, a couple of seasons under your belt, and seeing where it takes you. It's not been the smoothest ride for football, especially in the lower leagues with COVID. And then because just as that hit, I was returning from ACL injury, so it's been a bit of a kind of wild time in terms of not the smoothest journey, but it's football. Football's not smooth. No matter who you ask, no matter who you are, unless you're Messi or Ronaldo, it's not plain sailing.
Yeah, it's tough, but I'm sure you've got a lot of years ahead of you, and without patronising, you've got a good head on your shoulders as well. So I'm sure you'll do well with what you put your mind to in the future. Sam, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. Where can people find you on the various Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, etc.?
So if there is any TikTokers listening with an account, just Sam Wardrop is my TikTok name, and then Sam Wardrop 97 on Instagram. That's where I post most of my advice, whether it be football, nutrition, or just general kind of health and fitness and lifestyle advice.
Great, and while we're on TikTok, stay clear of those videos of me making crap predictions. Sam, thanks very much.
Cheers, Hamish.